Fine Lords podcast.
Um, Welcome to the Lord's Minute, our quick hit video series where we break down all the biggest happenings in gaming and beyond. I'm your host, April Prince, writer for Lords of Gaming, and with me today is Joshua Redding. Our topic for today is, what is the true price of nostalgia? Recently at an auction, an unsealed Legend of Zelda went for $870,000 at auction. I'd throw it to Joshua first.
Well, turns out the price of nostalgia is very expensive. People just something the pandemic kind of threw into sharp focus is people who were able to keep their jobs and save up money because there's nothing to do, and people that lost their jobs and suffered greatly. And the people who kept their jobs were primarily upper middle class white collar workers and tech companies employees, like people who ordinarily would go on vacation for 2, 3, 4 weeks out of the year. Now they suddenly have all that cash that they can spend on anything. So, we've seen it with the rise of kind of the retail investor and what that did to GameStop and Wall Street Bets and AMC and things like that. And we see it in the collectibles market. So comic prices have gone through the roof. Old video game prices are nuts right now. And it's just one of those things where people who are our age, who grew up in the 80s, who grew up in the early 90s, now suddenly have cash to burn. And by the looks of things, they have a lot of it. A lot more than I do, that's for sure. Some of these prices are just insane. Like I can't fathom spending $870,000 on a cartridge, no matter what the cartridge is. I can't imagine spending $870,000 on anything, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know. I'm not really a collector, though. I tend to downsize fairly frequently and get rid of stuff. Like I'm not a hoarder. I don't have I'm not like King, where I have 400 statues in the background of my Zoom call. But it's just one of those things that I don't have that mentality. I find that once I consume something, whether it's a game or music or books or things like that. Well, books are maybe the one exception to that rule. I actually have several bookshelves right to my right that are filled with my collection. But I don't have that collector mentality. Are you a collector, April?
So I definitely come from a family where you have to have at least 3 bookcases in your house. And I collect anime and I kind of collect games, especially ones that I grew up with, but like I would never spend like exorbitant amounts of money. Like I'm very much the fan on a budget.
Are you proud of your collection? Like, are there things in your collection that like you would want? Are there holes that you would want to fill?
Oh, there are definitely games that I want. Like before, like a few years ago, back when we first got like Amazon Prime, I distinctly remember saying, okay, I have to buy the classic PlayStation 2 version of Persona 4 because I didn't have it.
Okay.
And I made sure to pick that up.
And you found a copy, I take it?
Oh yeah. Very reasonable price.
I was gonna say, I have no idea how rare Persona 4 is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I look at these auctions and just I can't. It is a level of money that I've never seen, nor probably ever will see. So I look at these and just say, like, why? Like I really can't understand. Like I'm very much an experiences person. Like I love to travel. I love to go to the theater and to go see like historical monuments and museums and things like that. And so for me, like that is money well spent. The idea of spending $870,000 for something that will sit on a shelf, like maybe it's an investment opportunity. Like you see these things appreciating in value, and so maybe if you look at it as like, ooh, this is just like buying a stock or buying a bond, like it's just another diversification of my portfolio. I can see it from that perspective, but just like the collector mentality, if I have to have like, we have an article up on our website about this specific like bits of it, and like the detail on it is just insane. It's the three screw, no rev a, round SOQ, early production, like just the minutia that goes into deciding that this particular cartridge is the one that's worth 870,000, but the
Yeah.
500 gold cartridge Zeldas, like those can all just go with ET in the landfill.
Well, yeah, it's like when you get into like art collecting, it's like the same thing. Which video games is art, in my opinion, but like,
I agree that video games are art, but I think that for me, there's a difference because if I buy if I buy a Rembrandt, like I could ever afford a Rembrandt, but if I were to buy a Rembrandt, like I could display that on a wall and people would like see it as the painting itself. If I'm buying a video game, like, does that mean I have just a screen with, a bot that's constantly playing it in the background? So people are like, ooh, that's 3-1 of Super Mario World. Like,
yeah,
there's a different element to it, especially with games specifically, where so much of playing a video game is the playing part of it. And so I don't know, I feel like it's like the people who buy action figures and leave them in the box, like
but like,
I feel like they're missing the point.
yeah, it's my cousin collects Transformers and he has an entire room dedicated to them.
Oh man.
It's like I get it, but at the same time, I don't.
I hope King doesn't listen to this episode because he's gonna just roll his eyes as he sits in his room full of statues. Like,
He was like, at me next time.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, it's just I look at these auctions and there was a Walt Disney auction a couple of weeks ago that I was looking for stuff because my sister is a big Walt Disney fan, and like the memorabilia from the original opening of Walt Disney World, like that stuff I think is really neat from like a
That's like,
historical perspective.
yeah.
But I wouldn't like at this point in
It,
time, maybe it's because we grew up during like when these consoles came out. Like I had an NES, so like it's not history to me the way something that happened 50 years before I was born is history, but it
yeah.
will be that history for most of the people watching this video. I'm 30 and I'm probably on the old end of the people watching this video.
Yeah, it's weird when you like go on Twitter and you see people talk about stuff like people talking about the 90s like it was a long time ago still trips me out.
Yeah, 30
I'm
years ago.
like, can you not?
So let's say you had $1 million to buy something with, something rare, some like what is an outlandish item that you would love to have for your collection, like whether it's the Persona 4 design documents or I don't know, like
I mean, if there's anything that I collect, it's like swords and knives and stuff like that. If I could get like a replica of a video game weapon, that would really be the thing that I would say, all right, I put aside a specific amount of money that I'm going to spend on this item, and I'm going to be perfectly okay with the dent in my bank account after it's here.
is there a specific sword that you would want, like the Master Sword or like Master Chief's Energy Sword?
Um, Probably Nero sword from Devil May Cry, but like those
Ooh,
don't go
that's a
for
good one.
too expensive. So,
No. Yeah, it's just it's a level of money. Like I don't know what your background is socioeconomically, but like there's a level of money that's just so far beyond like
oh,
anything that's over $100,000. I just like I can't imagine that amount of money. Like it's more than I will like ever see in a bank account in my life. Like
like
I
I'm
mean, maybe if I
definitely
invest smartly, I'll get there. But
like I'm definitely one of those people that doesn't buy consoles the first year they come out. I'm like, I'll
yeah,
buy it like a year or two later on Black Friday. That's actually how I got my PlayStation 4. I
nice.
got it for like I think it was like 130, 120 on Black Friday. So like a steal.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking at getting one of the arcade one-up cabinets. I think that would be a neat thing to have in terms of like kind of retro history stuff. I like old military history. So like I think it'd be neat to have like an original Gadsden flag or like a Betsy Ross flag. Like that's something that I could see spending, this $800,000 on, because like there are none like that aren't in museums. And so like
Yeah, I think we have that in
it's
common. Like we both come from like military families.
yeah, it's just strange to think like that something, I mean, Zelda's was what, 83, like that's 40 years old, is now historical collectible enough that it can go for this amount. It's crazy.
Well, yep. Well, that has been the Lord's Minute. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes other days when we need to fill in. I'm April Prince here with Joshua Redding. Until next time, this has been the Lord's Minute.